Hi, I wanted to talk to you today about healing that comes in relationship with the Father. And so oftentimes we talk about being, connected with the Father and the joys that it brings in our lives. But there's times where we do get separated. There's just times where the relationship separates. And then we want to go back into the relationship. And so how does the healing begin to take place when we come back into that relationship? And the healing is not only about the healing of the relationship that you have with the Father, but it's also the healing that comes to you being back in relationship with God. And so I wanted to read this. I'll give you kind of a backdrop of this story. So it's in Nehemiah. We're going to read out of chapter 8. And what's happened is that there's been over 70 years where the Israelites have been separated. They've been under bondage. They've been under slavery. And so they haven't been able to go to the tabernacle. They haven't been able to pray. They haven't been able to do their sacrifices and things of that nature. And so this is all came about. It's done. They're back in Jerusalem. They're beginning to build Jerusalem back up. They're beginning to build the walls back up. And so Nehemiah is there, and the priest Ezra is there. And so again, they haven't been able to do this in over 70 years. So there's been this huge disconnect out of the relationship that they have with the Father. And so all of a sudden they're able to come back, and they find the law, they find the Torah, and they begin to read it. And this is part of the backdrop that's found in Nehemiah 8. So Ezra is actually standing up and he begins to read it. And when he begins to read it, the people begin to weep. And the reason why they're beginning to weep is because of the fact that for so long they've been disconnected to their God. For so long, they haven't been able to worship him. For so long, they have not been able to be in communion with him. And all of a sudden, they're being remembering the scriptures, or sometimes it might have been the very first time that they've heard the scriptures and or the law or the Torah. And now all of a sudden, they're weeping because they know that the words that are being spoken over them is the heritage of the relationship that they have with the mighty God. So let me just read this piece really quick. I'm actually going to read it out of the King James Version. It says, and this is in verse 9, it says, Nehemiah and Ezra, the priest of the scribe, and the Levites that taught the people, said unto all the people, this day is holy unto the Lord your God. Mourn not nor weep, for all the people wept when they heard the words of the law. Then he said unto them, go your way, eat the fat, drink the sweet, and send portions unto them for whom nothing is prepared. For this day is holy unto your Lord. Neither be ye sorrow, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. And isn't that amazing? It's amazing in two aspects, because one, he says, give portions to the people that didn't have any prepared, which means give to the poor, give to the ones that had nothing to prepare for this time of celebration. That's a really interesting piece, because part of our series talking about relationship is being in relationship with the Father, and then also being in relationship with the people that you're around. So this is a good example of that. But then the very end of it is this. Let me read it again. It says, neither be ye sorrow, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. And it's amazing who God is, right? Because once we come back into relationships, and once we become back into that union, the very joy of being in that relationship starts to become the strength of who we are. And it gives us that hope. It gives us that strength. It gives us that tomorrow's going to be a better day, and we have a better opportunity for tomorrow. That's what being in relationship does. It's what being in relationship with the Father does. And it's really important that we're constantly always going back. I love the fact that we knew that David did sin. We knew that David had a moment of separation with the Father. But the great thing about David, or the great example that we need to see out of David, is the fact that he was always chasing after the heart of God. Even when he was in error, he would always go back. And that's the beautiful thing about living in relationship with God, is that we're all going to make mistakes. We're going to make bad decisions. Circumstances are going to come up, and they're just going to kind of derail us. But the beautiful piece to that is that we can always go back to him, ask for forgiveness, and be back into relationship. And when the joy of that relationship comes and fills us, it will become the strength of our tomorrows. Thank you very much.